We ready now, Caitlin?
Yeah, good to go. Thanks.
Kia ora koutou. Ka mihi mahana ki a koutou. No mai hara mai ki te hui o Māori Standing Committee. Welcome everybody. Welcome to our first hui for 2022. Nice to see everybody there. We'll start with our karakia te timatanga. Tukia te wairua kia rere ki ngā taumata hai ārahi i a tātou mahi me tā tātou whai i ngā tikanga a rātou mā kia mau kia ita kia kore ai e ngaro kia pupuri kia whakamaua kia o tīna hui e taiki. So kia ora. So first thing, apologies. We've got apologies from Harry tonight and Alex. Andrea said she would be about 30 minutes late. Is there any other apologies?
Yeah, apologies, Tony. Carry on.
So I just need to leave at 7.
Ka pai. So Paul.
Good all. I'm Paul Gardner. I'm the manager for RMA and Environment at Wellington Water. Apologies for Angela, who was going to be speaking to you tonight. So she's got a bit of a tummy bug. So I'm just stepping in on her behalf.
Kia ora, Paul.
Agreed, I've got to leave at 7 too.
Okay, well, aiming for 7 then, whānau.
Yeah, good.
Ka pai. So any acknowledgements and tributes? Oh, yeah, I'm going to do the speech first. Taiho. So due to COVID-19, this meeting is being held via audio-video conference. All members participating via audio-video conference will count for the purpose of the meeting quorum in accordance with Clause 25B of Schedule 7 to the Local Government Act 2002. The meeting is being live streamed to Council's YouTube channel. The meeting will also be recorded and subject to the recording being of suitable quality will be made available on Council's YouTube channel via a link on Council's website. So firstly, just a welcome to Amanda Bradley, who is the General Manager for Policy and Governance. So Karen Yeats was that role last year, and now we've got Amanda. So welcome, Amanda, no moi. Would you, maybe a quick introduction from everybody? We got you there, Amanda? So I think I've spoken to you a few times on the phone. No mai, welcome.
Kia ora.
So I've been chairing the committee, it's just over a year, I think. Is that right, Karen?
2 years.
A while. But I'm representing Paitu Mokai o Tauira, which is our Featherston Hapori Māori group. Karen? Ko koe. Karen.
Non-mute, Karen.
Apologies. Kia ora, it's Karen. I'm Karen Mikaida. So I'm also a member of the Paitu Mokai, representing Featherston.
Kia ora, I'm Violet Edwards, and I'm just new on the committee, and I represent Kohunui Marae.
Kia ora, Brian Jefferson, Martinborough Ward Councillor. I've been on the committee ever since I've been on council, and I still enjoy it.
Kia ora, Amanda. It's Gillies Baker here. I represent Papuai Pa and Greater. Kia ora, no mai.
Oh, kia ora, Amanda. Tony Kerr. I know we've had some offline exchanges. No mai haere mai. I'm a representative for Hawariki Marae in Martinborough.
Lovely, kia ora whānau. So Andrea, I think, did you have a chance to speak to Andrea this week, Amanda? No, ka pai. So moving to extraordinary business. So firstly, I'd like to move that the chairperson's report is added to the Māori Standing Committee agenda as an extraordinary item, as item 7.1. It was not included in the agenda as it was received after the deadline. This item cannot be delayed as it contains some time-sensitive material for discussion. Do I have a seconder? Hands up. Oh, cheers, Violet. And all those in favour, please say aye. Kia ora. All those against, please put your hand up. Against. Right. The motion is carried. Does anyone have any other extraordinary business that needs to be added to the agenda? Ka pai. Apologies. We've done our so we've had apologies from Harry and from Alex, who's attending a Greytown Trust meeting tonight, and Andrea has just entered the room. Ka pai. So do I have a seconder, please? Kia ora, Jeppy. All those in favour, please raise your hand. And all those against, please raise your hand. Kia ora. Motion is carried. Conflicts of interest. Are there any conflicts of interest to declare? Kia ora. Acknowledgements and tributes. Does anyone have any acknowledgements or tributes you would like to make? Have we had anything over Christmas? Anything? Anyone? That cup white? No, it seems all good in the hood. Public participation. We have no public participation this evening. 6.1 minutes for confirmation. So the minutes from the 23rd of November 21. There's only one thing I spotted, and that was a spelling mistake. At 6.1, Karen Mikiara. Well, that's all I spotted. I don't know if anyone else saw anything. Okay, ka pai. So what we do there, Caitlin, will you do that amendment for us? And then do I still move this paper? Yoo-hoo.
You make it subject to the typos.
If you could do the amendment for us, and do I have a mover that the minutes of the Māori Standing Committee meeting held on the 23rd of November are a true and correct record with the amendment, subject to that change. Do I have a seconder, please? Kia ora, Violet. Thank you. All those in favour, please raise your hand. All those against, please raise your hand. No one. The motion is carried. Chairperson's report 7.1. We'll now move to item 7.1, the chairperson's report. Do I have a mover to receive the report? Kia ora, Andrea. Do I have a seconder? Kia ora, Gillies. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Ka pai. All those against, please raise your hand. The motion is carried. So to the report. So the first one is our Māori liaison position. Wow, this has just been so hard, but we're getting there. We are actually getting there. So we've had a JD written. Amanda has gone through it with a fine comb. And I think we've produced something that's pretty good. We're at a really good position with this one. So I think what I was going to suggest tonight, so the proposed draft job description for role of Māori Liaison Officer is attached in Appendix 1. It has been reviewed by Amanda Bradley, the General Manager of Policy and Governance. I suggest that as a committee, we have a week to review it and give feedback back to me. So that was only sent out later this afternoon, but once you've all got a copy of it, can everybody cast your eyes across it? If there's anything jumping off the page, if there's anything you want to query, you just send something through to me, an email through to me. And also the chair for the Māori Standing Committee has a separate email now, and it's called msc chair@swdc.govt.nz. Kia ora, Tony.
Kia ora. I did have a quick look. Is it possible, is this fairly standard in terms of the wording for any other council role, like all the stuff at the back that's quite kind of lengthy around principles by which, is that, I'm interested that how does this compare with a standard council? It does? Okay. Yeah, I think, sorry, go on, Amanda.
I've been working with our GM of HR, and we do need to redo the
JD template. And one of the things that I've got on there is each one should have a treaty statement as a kind of core requirement. Which I don't know if they all do. That's something we need to review. So, but they are going through a review process. And Paul has said to me, once we get the content right, if there's any changes to the templatey stuff, we'll get that sussed and it'll be tidied up as well.
Cool. And the only other question I had, again, others may not have had a chance, but where's the access point for this committee? Where are we covered? Because it's got elected members and council officers, but I didn't see any provision for our interaction with this role.
Yeah, that's a good question, Tony, and probably worthwhile giving that feedback. There was a statement in an earlier version that said that the role would be the principal advisor to this committee, but we've got to just be mindful around standing orders and what the role of staff is in the context of committees. So we just need to tidy that up a bit. But if you want to give that feedback and say that you want a clear statement around that, we can work. I just need to go back to the standing orders and make sure that we're ticker in that right.
Yeah. I think we can probably just reference the terms of reference, because in the terms of reference, we are required to provide advice and we could leverage that somehow, but I'm happy to provide some written feedback.
Nice. That's a good solution.
Kia ora, thank you, Tony.
Just one question.
Right.
Kia ora whānau. Just one question around the rationale for the positioning of the role, where it's reporting to the GM, P&G, with a dotted line to the chief exec. What's the rationale for that positioning?
I spoke to Harry about this, RCE, and he has a bit of a concern around the number of direct reports he has and the people side of managing a role. And his preference was that the role report to myself, the GM of Governance and Policy. And that's part of the reason why I shifted it and pitched it as a principal advisor, because principal advisors often have a relationship with ELT or SLTs and the CE or GM, depending on the size of the organisation. So I shifted the role title from a iwi liaison officer, which generally would have a more operational focus, shift it to a principal advisor. And Harry was very clear that it did need a clear reporting line to him, but he didn't have capacity for the people management stuff.
Okay. I'll have another look at it and feed in.
Yep. Kapai, that sounds really good. Oh, this is all good conversation, whānau. This is what we need to do. This is where we need to be at. We need to set this up right. We need to make it robust. We need to make it an attractive position and an achievable position. They have successes in there. So yeah, I think everyone can cast their eyes across there over the next week and just give me some feedback, then I can take that further up the line. Amanda, were you able to sort of talk about a timeline of an advert being written, what that would look like, who would cast their eye across that, and when we might be able to see an advert land in the paper, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so I've sent a proposed timeline to Harry, and I'll just pull up my email because I haven't sent it to, I've sent it to Harry and to our GM of HR. Basically looking at the feedback coming from yourselves this week and tidy up that template in the general responsibilities space. The following week, we get the final version sorted. The recruitment's approved by the CE. We develop the ad. The other thing that would need to be, that would need to happen that we want to do as well is that we want it translated so that we can have the JD in both Te Reo and in English, and that the ad is bilingual as well. We have a person that we use for that. Last time we reached out to them, they have a 2 to 3 week turnaround period. So a tentative request would be if you know of any other services that could provide a faster turnaround, we'd be open to receiving some advice on alternatives. So once we have that turnaround, we can advertise. The other thing that we want to do is have a conversation about who should be on the interview panel, and an iwi representative or Māori Standing Committee representative on the interview panel. And I've got some specific questions around that. We need to design the interview questions, the interview process, and noting that we might want to use a Te Ao Māori framework. So we advertise at the latest, the end of March, noting that turnaround period of the translation. We shortlist the following week, we interview the following week, we appoint the following week, and then usually 4 weeks notice. So we're looking at the end of April to mid-May, depending on how all that unfolds.
Oh, thank you for that. That's a good timeline. At least we are aware. So we're looking for feedback on the JD, but also if there's some recommendations on someone that could do that translation for us, would be good for you guys to have. Okay, ka pai. Thank you, Amanda. Any other comments around that at this stage, Whānau? We've waited a long time. We've been very patient. Ka pai. Does anyone else want to add anything?
Have they talked about the job grade?
No. Do you want to ask a question? No, ka pai. So the other part of the chairperson's report was topic 2, which is the dates for the strategy noho. So we were aiming for a noho, and now I think we're just going to scratch for a hui, because it might be an online business, or it might be just maybe a half day, whole day, something. I don't know. It's just too tricky to go for the noho. But if we have a hui and we decide to do that in face to face, we could probably get a venue without a problem, as long as we're all double vaxxed. I imagine that's not a problem. Dates. How's everybody's calendar for March? Jeppy, yeah, ka pai.
Excuse my ignorance, Narita, but what's the difference between the two?
Oh, well, a noho would require you to be overnight at least.
Ah,
yeah,
gotcha,
you basically
gotcha. Yep.
You enter and you start and go in with a pōheri and you leave with a purapuaki. So yeah, and but yeah, it's just too tricky to do that. A little bit too much pressure on maraes and things like that. So it might be more like it's going to be a hui, and it might even look like 2 days, a hui, a time slot on a Friday and a time slot on a Saturday. There's actually a lot to do, so it's a real shame it's just a bit too difficult to do it in person anymore, well, certainly right now. But what about March? Does anybody sort of have some time in March that they're thinking is ideal? What if I said the first Friday and Saturday in March?
Yep, that's good.
From that, yeah.
We'll put that one out there. So that's the 5th.
That is probably the only time that I will have free in March.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ka pai. 4th and 5th of March. And then what about heading towards the end of it? 25th, 26th.
Yep. Well, that is prior to our next hui, which is the 29th.
Thanks, Karen. That's cool. So should I just throw those dates out there? And
But the 26th of March is okay for me. I have a court thing on the 25th for family court.
Okay, ka pai.
Saturday is cool. Or the afternoon of the 25th.
Yeah, okay. I mean, would we prefer a Fridays? I mean, people work on Fridays as well. Would people want to do something Friday after work and then maybe do Saturday, 2 spots on the Saturday or something? I don't know. I'm thinking of something that might be 2, 4, 6, 8 hours altogether. Maybe
Do half a day.
do half a day. It's a long time to be on screen, eh?
Yeah.
So have you actually made the decision that it's going to be via Zoom? And if you are, are you intending to have workshops? Because I don't know how workshops work over Zoom. How do you intend running this?
Not really sure how we go about doing it. It's actually really hard to do something like this.
Rita, just so you know, or Chair, we're in the process of doing exactly this because we had a wānanga kanohi ki te kanohi a few weeks ago, but we've had to change it all to online. So we're in the process of actually deciding exactly these questions. Is it consecutive days? What's the capacity, particularly in a workshop? Because workshop is actually more tiring. So if you've got interactive where you've got presenters, then you can do longer. But if it's interactive where you're doing workshops, usually the guidance is 2 hours at a time, break 2 hours, that's 4 hours in the day. And then followed by the next day is kind of what when it's a workshop format, when you're trying to facilitate, to get things out of it. So that's just kind of the guidance. And there's a lot of prep. So get the technical stuff. So I'm just signaling, not to be Debbie Downer, that it actually takes a lot of time and effort technically and working out the format to make it successful.
I know. I have been thinking about it. We have to really drill down on those things that we want to discuss, which is the JD and that role within council and really our budget. That's another massive one we really need to have a discussion over. So maybe it's just a case of only having almost just 2 things and some, sort of future planning, maybe some aspirational stuff. I don't know. I was going to put it out to everybody to come back with some suggestions.
I mean, I can help. We can talk offline, but I think if you've got some key things that we want to do, just a couple, and then maybe another session on planning, and just break up the days so it's clear, and then we can do some work around how to, with everyone else as well, of course, but just how do we make the most out of that time?
Yeah. Like Te Mataro Māui, the other governance group that I belong to. So we've got a AGM coming up, and we're going to do that all online. But we are meeting for our strategy planning, our planning hui, and we're coming to Hauriki actually. But there's only about 9 or 10 of us in that group, and we've got miles of room and space. So we're just going to go for it. Everybody's double vaxxed.
Because that was one of the things I was going to raise, actually. I've just been on the LGNZ site. So is that the group you're talking about, the Ropu, Te Maruata?
Yeah, Mataroa Māui.
I know there's a different one. So, but I think LGNZ, because the other thing was, even if you don't have the noho, actually some engagement with LGNZ or other people who are operating in the space to get some shared learnings. So we could have, if we were going to have online, we could have a guest speaker or something like a session like that, was my other thought.
Yeah. We have to, anyway, need some thinking around that, but March, that might be the next time that we can get together. We've got a couple of dates there. Did you have something in particular that you were thinking of? Have you done something, Gillies, with a group and managed it online?
No, that's why I asked. I've never done it online before. It's always been kanohi ki te kanohi, because you're doing a lot of interactive stuff. Just putting butcher's paper on the wall and writing stuff up and that kind of thing. So that's why I was interested to see how it would work online. Anyway, just food for thought, I guess. If we're all vaxxed, it might be appropriate to maybe have part of it and, can be somewhere.
Yeah. I'd like us to do that.
Mix and match it, maybe.
Yeah, like some parts that can be delivered on screen, like you're saying, Tony, the guest speaker. But, maybe that stuff is all done that way. Because it is more valuable to us if we're actually, in face to face. And so for most marae, even for Paitimokai, which has a venue, we're happy provided everybody's double vaxxed, because then you're protecting everybody else. But then, if you're not vaxxed, doesn't mean you're walking around with the disease in your pocket, does it? So I'm not sure that we need to be so stressed about it. Just seems like a stressy topic. What does everybody else feel about that? Around being vaccinated and not vaccinated. Get Jeppy?
I'm not talking about the vaccinated side of it, but I think Tony mentioned that having it broken up is a great idea, and particularly if you're going into the financials and all the rest of it, if you had them before, and then you had the other part the next day, you have time to actually mull it over, and to have too much information in one session, really, you don't achieve a lot. So I'm all for having a session the afternoon before.
Oh yeah, because we look at our financials and perhaps even having some speakers do that online, and the actual planning part of it, do that in person and make that a half day or full day. I mean, we could definitely get a venue for that.
Because we don't have to do everything all in one day. We can just split it up. Yeah.
Could, yep. Okay. Oh, well, that's a good direction then. Well, maybe we'll look at that then. We'll try and do the parts that can be done online from home, ka pai, the planning part and looking at a strategy going forward. We do that in person and we go to a venue. I mean, our numbers will be what, 10, 12 maximum anyway, because I believe some of the councillors wanted to present things to us at the same time. That's about right, isn't it, Amanda? I think there was parts there that we would want you guys to give us some feed into.
There's opportunities to have all kinds of discussion, and I know the representation discussion is front and center for a lot of people. What do we do? Where do you want to go with Māori wards or alternative representation models? That's another discussion that needs to be had at some point. So there's lots of opportunities. I think it might be think about the topics that you want to nail and kind of shape it around, like Jeppy said, shape it around those topics and bring people in to talk about different things, get different, who you need in front of you.
Yeah, okay. Might have a little wee subcommittee, little Tony, Andrea, Amanda committee, even Violet, maybe just have a little wee, just try and put our agenda together and the things that we want to focus on, the things we can do online before meeting and the things that we can do whilst meeting, but bring them in on a screen. Ka pai, that's cool. All right, well, we're looking at March then. So that one's been done. So now we're on to 8.1 action items report. Oh, I can't find anything. So that item 655, I presume, Caitlin, that's going to be closed because the letter was done, so we can close that action. And that was around potential nominees to represent the interests of tangata whenua on the Considine Park user group. Is that right, Caitlin?
Yes, that should be closed, yeah.
Okay, ka pai 245, that's around Orwhanga Landing. Karen, do you want to take that one any further, or do you want to make some comment or leave it there?
Oh, it's already parked. No, I just think we should maybe just take that off.
Okay, take that one off. Did you get that, Caitlin? Okay, 246, this one's parked as well. Oh, Aorangi board program. Yeah, they can stay there, I think, just another round. 248 is still open. Hold a strategy. Well, okay, we're just looking at dates now. Gee, we started that in August last year. Here we are heading for March. All right, we're still going for March. 4, that's been done. Papawai. I was wondering, once we've had our strategy hui, is that a chance, and we've got a plan and a strategy that we can present, we can talk about the role that we've got, our funding that we've locked in through the long-term plan, and is that an opportunity then to invite Kohinui trustees, Papawai trustees, Hauriki trustees, Paitu Mokai whānau, and say this is the direction that the Māori Standing Committee are going in, just so everybody's aware of what we're doing. Is that a good time to do that?
Yep, I think so.
Okay, ka pai. So Caitlin, you can just say that a date will be set post our wānanga, our hui, and in which we'll be inviting all of the marae trustees and Paitu Mokai.
Just on that, Loretta, were we intending to invite trustees to our hui or aspects or part of the hui at all?
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be a good idea for us to do that.
Got no secrets really. No.
Oh, gone silent.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to be open and transparent, and I mean, we actually represent the trustees ourselves anyway. So,
And
we have any secrets.
ka pai. So, oh, and I believe you're chairing Papua.
Yes.
Congratulations. Ka pai.
Anyone filling Michelle's gap?
Is there anyone in the near future looking at Michelle's position, Michelle's space, or the space, other space with Papua?
We haven't yet discussed that, but we'll nominate somebody shortly.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, I think it'd be good for us to have Papua with trustees from Kohanui as well, and Hawariki. When we get into our strategy training, our that part of the planning, there'll be opportunity, and maybe they just dial in. It's that kind of situation. We'll just keep our numbers to us, our bubble, and then we can have them dial in. That'd be good. Yeah, so when we pull the program together, we'll look at where those spots might be for them to come in and join that conversation. Yeah, next one, 453. That is, what is that one about? Grant forms updated to align the new grants policy. Oh yeah, that's right. That's just one of our activities with the plan. Our hui is around reviewing our grants application forms. Or is that something that we do? Yeah, sorry, go Garrick.
Yeah, has that not been completed yet?
No, we were going to review them at our hui, like our.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's right. So long as it stays on the agenda.
Just realising it's just another activity that we've just added to our our hui, but it's still important. Got to do it. Grant application forms. Right, next one, 574. Terms of reference to be presented and discussed. Okay, is that one? Are you speaking to that, Amanda? 574.
I'm not sure. Caitlin? Sorry, this is my week number 3. I'm still catching up on all the processes.
So at the last Māori Standing Committee meeting, there was a request for a report looking at different Māori representation and what that could look like within council, the different models that could be done. So we have been working on it. And Amanda, did you want to sort of give your thoughts on what that might look like?
Yeah, so Caitlin has done a huge amount of work, and I believe supported with Scott Summerfield on bringing together some options which are outlined, and the different representation that gives the region, the district. And I guess there's a process that we'd need to go through, and I need to figure out what that would look like to do some public consultation on different models.
Well, it says adopted terms of reference and further council recommendations. So we're looking at a list of recommendations or outlining some recommendations. And are you guys going to present that at the upcoming workshop? Or our hui? Is that what that's happening? I can't remember what 574 was about. Caitlin, do you have background?
I thought this was the terms of reference that we looked at, and we were going to discuss this at our wana.
Our own terms of reference.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, our own terms of reference.
And so is there action there to be presented and discussed at an upcoming workshop with council officers? Okay, so that's our hui. And we wanted to look at what else do we want to do with that terms of reference?
Oh, you want to look at how that fits within the structure. So how it aligns, so the terms of reference for the Māori Standing Committee, how that aligns with the primary functions of council. And that's what we would expect, that feedback from council, those recommendations.
Right. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So did you catch that, Caitlin? There's a bit more info we were needing to feed into our workshop, our hui.
I can update that action and just sort of clarify exactly what you were looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because all of a sudden that doesn't make any sense, that action and notes. Okay, right. Well, we'll update that so that makes a bit more sense, and then that's going to be added as another topic for our wānanga, our hui. Yeah, that's all of a sudden that agenda's going to. And then 579, that has been actioned. So that one can go now. It can be closed. Oh, actually, I got a little bit of an update on that. So that event was for Waitangi Day, and it was at Cobblestones. And of course, we went to Red Light. And so, unfortunately, and Tony, I heard you were going to be singing there. Nice.
Well, not just me, Matua, Wiremu, and yeah, a few of us, but yeah, we were going to go there.
You guys were
Simon and Mahi, yeah.
Nice one. And unfortunately, due to red light, it was postponed, or it's been shifted, and now it's going to be shaped for something around Matariki. So I thought that was fine. That's, the funding is going to be used for an event to promote, promote Māori in South Wairarapa, and it's going to be held in South Wairarapa. So yeah, great. We'll leave that one there. Right, next.
Sorry, Chair, just for good order, will they be sending us an amended request just to change it?
Yeah, I did ask that Christina write us another letter just to say.
I think, yeah, just for good order's sake, I think that.
Ka pai. Did I accept the action items, or did I just jump straight into it, Caitlin? Jump straight into it, didn't I?
You did, yes. If you could.
Okay. So, do I have a mover to receive the actions item report? Is that you, Jeppy? Kia ora. Do I have a seconder? Kia ora, Violet. All those in favour, please raise your hand. All those against, please raise your hand. The motion is carried. Is there any other questions or clarifications you would like to ask, or any updates to the open action items?
Just Councillor Eames, just around the action for the healthcare services and strategy. I haven't heard anything around that, so I was just wondering what's happening with that.
Okay, we at the moment I've been talking to the obvious contenders in the three in health in the South Wairarapa. We're putting together a standard format to try and get what we actually are trying to achieve, and that will come back to this committee. So I'm drafting up and I've lost the words out of my head at the moment. I'm drafting up a document which will come back and outline where we want to go with it from here. Can I just say we've had a bit of a problem, obviously because of the COVID, and some of the people have been not at DHB have not been available to us, and we do want them involved. And the other question there is, and I'm still trying to get more clarification on, is funding for this the new structure under the Māori Health protocols, which may be coming forward later in this year. But I think we just have to forward ahead, because we've got a problem in the south, and I think we should try and get a solution that works for us. And then if something comes through from central government, then we just working with that. So it's underway, but needs more work from my end. Sorry.
Oh, so you're presenting that you don't actually need us to sit on this?
Yes, I do. I'll need you, once we form the thing, I need to have that working party. Once we get a draft document, I'll flick that out. And I think there was two or three of us who'd offered to go in there, including yourself.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
And Narita, I think you also wanted to be involved at that stage.
Sure.
Yeah.
No problem. Right. Now, 8.2, Global Stormwater Consent Report. Has anybody had a chance to read over that?
Hi, Madam Chair. Sorry, can I just, I just wanted, before we even get into the corridor. So on this one, I was thinking in terms of these kinds of items that are it was really unclear to me where this sits vis-a-vis our terms of reference and where it sits vis-a-vis our PO. So I think for all papers that come, of this nature, and, it's a receiver report, it wasn't entirely clear what the action is really. I think it's really important for us to understand where under the terms of reference this sits. Does it actually align? I think that's really important. And then the extent to which we've been asked to do something, and the word consenting immediately worries me, because there's an element of expertise that will probably sit with the principal advisory role that we're putting. I certainly don't have that level of expertise around consenting. So I think, and also understanding the time frame. So I don't know how long this has been in train. But having line of sight of things that come up for consideration, so reasonable timeframes, and actually it's not just for this, but it's for anything that's on the council's agenda in terms of they will be coming to us and engage. And I think we actually need more signalling. We can talk about that more in our strategy day. And then what we're actually being expected to do here, because again, when the consenting process, where there's deep technical knowledge on boards that I sit on, you normally get recommendations from those experts. So I'm just prefacing this with, yes, this is interesting, but what is it that we're expected to do with this? Kia ora.
Yeah. Kia ora, Tony. And so funnily enough, I don't know if you went into page 35 of the officer's report 6.6. It's saying that this report is, Wellington Water, and that they're going to come back to us in our next meeting for our feedback. And I'm just going, hello. And I did text Harry just to say who was going to be speaking to this report, because it's new for us. And yeah, exactly what you're saying.
And more to the point. Yeah. So the terms of reference, we need to be very clear for. There's expertise, but actually, this is supposed to be an opportunity for us to have a dialogue in reasonable timeframes. And I just don't think that this is so. We've obviously got someone here to talk to it. But I don't know that we will be able to do anything with this, because it just feels a little bit, and welcome other people's comments, but it just feels a little bit of a short time frame to consider something that's not entirely clear, and it's not clear whether it lines up with our terms of reference.
Well, first off, we'll just receive the report to start with. So do I have a mover to receive the report, please? Kia ora, Karen. Do I have a seconder? Kia ora, Garrick. And all those in favour, please raise your hand. Kia ora. All those against, please raise your hand. The motion is carried. So, Paul, Tony.
I'm not. I don't know. I'm kind of saying no. I'm not prepared to receive the report. Well, unless someone can.
And I'm kind of saying that too.
Caitlin, did you have something to add to that? I mean, I kind of understand us receiving the report just allows us an opportunity to understand if we've received it and for us to have a discussion. But you're quite right, actually, Tony. That's a good point there. Without it lining up with our terms of reference. Is that what you said?
And we've been asked to provide guidance. So I think we could say happy to receive the report, and then we can consider it. But I just don't think we've got enough. It's a very complex report. It's consenting that we don't understand. We don't have any expert recommendations. I'm happy to hear what Paul has to say. He's obviously made time, but I just think as a committee, it's not fair or reasonable to be asked to do something where we haven't had line of sight of this or reasonable time to consider. And we should be able to set the timeframes. And if the timeframes have already been agreed, then that's another issue. But I think someone needs to speak to that a bit more clearly. Yeah,
well, I'm glad you had come in, Paul, because Angela wasn't coming, and then Harry wasn't going to be available, and he didn't know who else was going to be available. So I'm glad that you have come in. So would you like to just? So let's receive the report, and I'll acknowledge Tony and Violet. Kia ora.
Because.
Is it still a motion carried even though we've received the report? And then I'll hand over to you, Paul, to talk to it.
I'm Paul Gardner. I'm the manager for RMA Environment at Wellington Water. My role is oversight over our consenting processes. So I think, firstly, I want to just give my apologies to the Māori Standing Committee. It's clear that there hasn't been a good discussion before this landing in your laps. But I also just wanted to reassure you all that this isn't, there are no strict time frames. There is nothing that you need to do. There's nothing that what we're really seeking from you is a little bit of guidance as to who are the right people in Wairarapa to consult on something like this and to work through. We are based on, as you know, on the other side of the hill. We've established pretty good relationships with Taranaki Whānui and Ngāti Whai Rangatira, but we don't know the right people in the Wairarapa to speak to. And so really we're just bringing it to your attention as something that involves involves the water and involves contamination of the water. And we're looking to, to open dialogue. The timeframes in terms of actually lodging the consent were driven by the regional council. So they had a timeframe, a deadline that they needed to have a consent to be lodged by. And that doesn't mean that there'll be a decision made. What it means is that we needed to get the paperwork into regional council in order for us to kind of secure a controlled consent, which means that it's a much easier consent to be granted. We've now got a period of time where we can engage properly and fruitfully with mana whenua in the Wairarapa. So really, it's an introduction. We're not trying to push anything through. We're not trying to seek any decisions made in haste. We just want to introduce myself and the project that we're doing. We were advised by South Wairarapa to engage with the Māori Standing Committee. Hopefully that helps assuage some concerns. In terms of the fit into TOR, into your terms of reference and your pool, I don't know where that fits and whether it's appropriate or not. I'm happy to be guided.
So thanks, Paul. I've just got one quick. Aroha mai. You go. Kei a koe.
No,
Vale.
kei te koe. My whakaaro is that it belongs with mana whenua, with marae.
Kia ora,
Not
Violet.
with the iwi, because the iwi are the overall governing body, but it's the marae, the hapu, that are the rivers, the awa, the whenua out there. So that's where it should go to.
Kia ora, Violet.
I mean, I'm on Rangitani iwi, but when it comes to this kind of mahi, that belongs with mana whenua.
So just a bit of context as well, Violet. At the iwi level, we do have designated kaitiaki that deal with consenting. So, the environmental officer, we have Rawari Smith at the iwi office who deals with these all the time. So he should be consulting too with mana whenua because that's their day-to-day job and expertise. You've also, we've talked to Te Huripo, Rimini, and see this is their job of what they do. So if you want the experts actually over the take, these people are employed in these roles, but part of that should be consulting with mana whenua so that everyone's on the same page. Also, Paul, Narita's been sitting around that table holding a space for iwi while representation is sorted. I mean, I've been going along listening in the gallery as, as the kahununu iwi rep on Māori Standing Committee, and Te Huripo Rimini Rangitani has also said he's, happy to be involved in this. But you have employed Kura Moiahu, who is meant to be facilitating engagement with iwi for Wellington Water. And so internally in your own systems, you need to kind of get the structures right of engagement, because it's kind of like all over the place, and it depends who you ask, or who you get an answer on. So you get a different person depending on who you asked. So they really need to be formalized from Wellington Water, these these kind of engagement. But of course, for us, you know, we are formally on the Māori Standing Committee representing who we are representing. So that's why you asked to come here. But yeah, just some context around it. Kia ora, Paul.
Thank you for the comments and advice, and we'll certainly take that back. We are on a bit of a journey at Wellington Water in terms of engaging in true partnership with mana whenua. So we are learning, and we're trying our best. And this is, I guess this is a response to a little bit of pressure to deliver without us being able to get these structures perfect or in place beforehand. But I think with Kura's help, we are making good progress. Hopefully, we're making good progress, and you can hold us to account on that over the next year or so.
Yeah. Really, with Kura, he's trying to pitch it at an iwi level. I know and he's got to be also mindful of getting everyone in the room. So for the current structure is with, operationally, it's with the Māori Standing Committee for South Wairarapa District Council. So yeah, that would be only my caution. If he's going above to an iwi level, which is Ngahiwi Tūmoana for Kahununu, that's a whole different, this is where you're getting the kind of mismatch and misinformation and, depending on who you ask. So it's probably best to get everyone at all levels in the room.
Okay. Yep. I'll take that on board. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Andrea. Kia ora. Kia ora. GP, got something? I think Garrett, sorry.
Yeah, just quickly, this did come through previously to the assets and services, but it was a slightly different paper, and Paul, it did explain the urgency because of the 2021 close off. But I think for my colleagues, you should be aware we're not just talking stormwater here, and I take Violet's point, we're going beyond that. It actually includes all the water races as well, so it's actually a much bigger issue. So it's not just the amount of stormwater going through the existing pipes and what have you, because we are very unique here. And this is the point we raised at ANS, that we are urban against rural. It's much different. We cannot actually, in our environment, differentiate between stock water, stormwater, and water races, and it's a much bigger question, yes. And I think that's why we need total engagement across the whole lot, and not just picking the eyes out of it. I think it's a much bigger discussion. I take your point, Tony, and Violet, it's a much bigger point. Thank you.
Kia ora. Okay, so you're right there, Paul. You contact me if you need to, during the week.
Yeah, thank you, Narita. Can I have one last comment?
All right.
Thank you. I just wanted to be clear that we're not seeking to do something new. We're not seeking to discharge additional contaminants to waterways in Iorohi. What we're looking to do is to consent existing discharges, put them in a framework for improvement over time. So the idea behind the consenting is not to continue pollution or to seek consent to pollute. It's to put it within a framework of regulation for improvement over time if there needs to be improvement. So this first consent looks at a short period of time to understand what the actual impact of stormwater runoff has on water bodies and whether we are creating contamination. And then the second consent after that period of time will look to action improvements that are sustainable for South Wairarapa over a period of time. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Kia ora. Just about there, whānau. So the next part was income expenditure report. I think this looks like it needs a bit of updating. Paul, we can catch up during the week if you like, if you wanted to sign off. And I know we're at 7 o'clock, whānau, so just ever so quickly. Caitlin, I think the our report for our finance report just needs an update. And I know we're going to be doing a bit more on this when we have our hui, our planning hui. And I know that everyone's got some suggestions around how we can do our funding, how we can better spend, really. Did you have something, Andrew?
Just part of the awhina here,
Tautoko, call it tautoko.
tautoko. It just says new members induction, so we have some new members. So I was just wondering what's happening there.
Again, that was we've put a space holder for that because we don't have an induction pack. Sorry, Violet. And we wanted to create something, so we wanted to put a little bit of money on that so that it's not a barrier for us getting that bit of mahi done. And whether that's something that our new person does or we get it done sooner than that, would be good to get it done sooner than that. But that's what that was about. It was to have an induction pack. I think it's a good idea. So, but anyway, all of that, our funding, our financial summary is all for discussion at our hui. You probably need a bit of time on that one. But there's that. And it looks like it needs updating, is the other thing I thought, because the marae wawata still shows $18,000 left. And there isn't. Is there anything else in the officer's report that anyone picked up and wants to discuss? Kyle, everyone good? How did everybody get on with the flooding? How was Papawai? Good. Kohanui, you guys are right up on the top of the hill there? You guys, Hauriki, Kapai?
We'll survive the tsunami.
Oh, yeah, true that. What about Hauriki? You guys wet? No leaking?
No, we're all good. The marae's are good. We had our boosters there on Sunday. Wasn't as big of a turnout though on Sunday. But.
Well, Pai Tu Mōkai, we got a little bit of an update, eh, Karen? We've almost got our outside yard fully netted and shade cloth on. So, and we've got 15,000 plants being growing for us at Kapai Tony, Kapai Gillies, Kakite, Kia ora Jeppy. But 15,000 plants growing for us up at Norfolk Road. So, yeah, we're cracking on. So I think that's it, whānau. Is there anything else? Oh, what you got?
Wastewater faults think that, due to pipe condition.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Did anyone have any other comments? What page is that? Page 30 around Featherson. I know Featherson took a hard hit with the flooding.
Yeah.
What about you, Garrett? Did you have anything you wanted to comment on?
I think we should just acknowledge the amount of work that the Wellington Water guys did. I mean, it was torrential, and we still fixing the problems. But I mean, these guys are out there and they're really nasties and did a great job. So I think we need to acknowledge that for the community. So I'm happy to do that. As far as the rural guys, I've just been driving around today. It's quite interesting to see the damage done to Donald's Creek and the Donald Creek Bridge. So there's going to be more restoration work done. So when you come and see me, don't drive down Longwood Road.
Oh, yeah.
You'll probably go end up in a drain.
Oh, wow. Anyone else? Anyone else got anything else to add? So I think we are good. So we have closing karakia. Oh, where's in the front page? Can't find it. Andrew, have you got it? Oh. Okay, can't find the page. Closing karakia.
It's a second page.
Yeah, I've got hundreds of pages here. Okay, karakia whakamutanga. Ready? Unu hia, unu hia,
Unuhia,
unu
Unuhia
hia,
ki turu tapu nui.
kia wātia,
Kia wātia, kia mama,
mama,
ki ngā kau, te tinana, te wairua, i te tara takatū,
koiara,
koiara e runga, whakairia, ake ki runga, tuturu whakamaua kia tīna,
Tina, kuie,
haumie,
Yeah.
kākie.
Thank you. Kia ora, everybody. That was great.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
week, people.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Caitlin.
Kia ora.
Thank you,
Ka
team.
kite,
Sorry I was late.
ka kite.